There is a third person in your relationship. You cannot see them, but they make most of the decisions. This person is the ghost of you as a child, and they are quietly destroying your chance at love. This is not a metaphor in the poetic sense, it is a psychological reality. Within the complex architecture of your mind, there exists a version of you that is frozen in time. This entity is a collection of your earliest experiences, your most profound unmet needs, and the core beliefs you formed about love, safety, and connection before you had the words to articulate them. We will call this entity the inner child. More specifically, for our purposes, we will call it the ghost. A ghost haunts. It replays the past in the present. It reacts to echoes that no one else can hear. It is driven by a singular, unresolved story. In your adult relationships, this ghost is the invisible force that pilots your reactions. It is the source of the argument that appears from nowhere. It is the architect of the self-sabotage that you cannot explain. It is the cold dread you feel when a partner asks for space, or the flash of rage that ignites over a misplaced comment. You, the adult, believe you are responding to the present moment, to the person in front of you. This is often an illusion. You are in fact responding to a memory. Your partner becomes a stand-in for a figure from your past. The current situation becomes a stage for a drama that began decades ago. The purpose of our exploration today is not to exorcise this ghost. That is impossible, and it is not the goal. The goal is to see it. The goal is to understand its language, its motivations, and its pain. By making this unconscious force conscious, you move from being a passenger in your own life to becoming the driver. You learn to hold the hand of this ghost, to listen to its story, and to finally give it the peace it could not find in the past. This process is the beginning of true relational freedom. It is how you stop fighting the same battle in different relationships and start building a connection based on the reality of the present, not the echoes of the past. This is the work of moving from a haunted relationship to a conscious one. The ghost does not have to be your saboteur. It can become your guide. It points directly to what needs to be healed. Today, we will learn to listen to what it has to say. We will turn on the light in the haunted room. We will meet this third person in your relationship and begin the process of integration. This is the path to creating a partnership that is not a reenactment of history, but a conscious creation of a shared future. It is the most important work you can do for the health of your love life. It begins now. The concept of an inner child is not New Age sentiment. It is a robust psychological framework with deep roots in classical psychoanalysis. To understand the ghost in your relationship, we must first understand its origins through two specific lenses, one from Carl Jung and one from Sigmund Freud. These lenses provide a map to the unconscious territory where this ghost resides. Carl Jung, a student of Freud, proposed the existence of archetypes. Archetypes are universal, archaic patterns and images that derive from the collective unconscious. They are the psychic blueprints for certain human experiences. One of the most powerful archetypes is the child. In its divine form, the child archetype represents new beginnings, potential, and the future. It is the part of us that is open, curious, and full of life.
However, every archetype has a shadow aspect. The shadow of the divine child is the wounded child. The wounded child is the part of our psyche that becomes frozen at the moment of a significant emotional injury. This could be a single traumatic event, or it could be a prolonged environment of neglect, criticism, or emotional availability. The wound creates a split. A part of the psyche stops developing. It remains locked in the emotional and cognitive state of the age at which the wound occurred. This wounded child then lives within the adult as a ghost. It holds the original pain, the original fear, and the original simplistic beliefs formed to survive that pain. Beliefs like, I am not lovable, I must be perfect to be loved, or people will always abandon me. These are not adult conclusions. They are a child's survival strategies, now operating as unconscious programming. Sigmund Freud offers the second critical lens, the concept of repetition compulsion. Freud observed that individuals are unconsciously driven to repeat traumatic or difficult experiences from their past. This is not a desire for pain. It is a profound, unconscious attempt to gain mastery over the original situation. The psyche seeks to return to the scene of the crime, so to speak, to finally achieve a different outcome. It wants to fix the past by reenacting it in the present. When we combine these two concepts, the full picture of the ghost emerges. The wounded child, frozen in its original pain, drives the repetition compulsion. It unconsciously seeks out partners and situations that will replicate the emotional dynamics of its original wounding. If the wound was abandonment, it will be drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable. If the wound was criticism, it will find partners who are critical. This is not a conscious choice. It is a magnetic pull, an unconscious recognition of a familiar emotional landscape. The ghost is trying to go home. It is trying to finally get the love, safety, or validation it never received from the original figures in its life. The tragedy is that this reenactment almost always fails. The new partner is not the original parent. The adult you is not the helpless child. The old survival strategies, like shutting down or lashing out, no longer work. They create the very outcome the ghost fears most, the reenactment of the original abandonment or rejection. This is the cycle. The wounded child seeks healing through repetition, but its outdated methods only deepen the wound. Understanding this is not about blame. It is about recognizing the powerful, invisible mechanics at play beneath the surface of your relationships. Your ghost is not malicious. It is a lost part of you trying to heal itself with the only tools it has. Our task is to give it new tools. The ghost of the inner child does not manifest in the same way for everyone. Its expression is shaped by the specific nature of the original wound and the survival strategies developed around it. These manifestations often align with the patterns described in attachment theory. We can observe 4 primary ways this ghost makes its presence known in adult romantic relationships. The first manifestation is anxious attachment. This is the ghost of a child who experienced inconsistent caregiving.
Sometimes their needs were met, and sometimes they were ignored. This created a deeply seated fear of abandonment. The child learned that to get their needs met, they had to be vigilant, to cling, to make noise. In adulthood, this ghost drives a constant need for reassurance. It interprets a partner's need for space as a sign of imminent rejection. An unreturned text message can trigger a primal panic. The internal monologue is one of fear. They are pulling away. I did something wrong. They will leave me. This ghost tries to prevent abandonment by closing all distance, which often has the paradoxical effect of pushing the partner away. It suffocates the very connection it is desperate to preserve. The second manifestation is avoidant attachment. This is the ghost of a child who learned that their needs were a burden, or that expressing emotion was unsafe. They may have been punished for crying or ignored when they sought comfort. This child learned to self-soothe, to become hyper-independent, to suppress their needs. In adulthood, this ghost equates intimacy with a threat of being engulfed or controlled. It values independence above all else. During conflict, this ghost's primary strategy is to deactivate, to shut down, to withdraw emotionally or physically. It creates distance to feel safe. The internal monologue is one of self-reliance. I do not need anyone. Emotions are messy. It is safer to be alone. This ghost sabotages relationships by refusing to let anyone get truly close. It builds a fortress around its heart and starves itself of the connection it secretly desires, but deeply fears. The third manifestation is disorganized attachment, which we can call a chaotic pattern. This is the ghost of a child whose caregiver was a source of both comfort and fear. The person who was supposed to be a safe harbor was also the source of the storm. This creates a profound internal conflict. The child learns that the person they love is also the person who hurts them. In adulthood, this ghost creates a pull and pull dynamic in relationships. There is a simultaneous and intense desire for closeness and a deeply seated terror of it. The relationship is often marked by volatility, intense highs and intense lows.
The ghost will pull a partner close, then suddenly push them away when the intimacy becomes too threatening. The internal state is one of confusion and fear. I need you, go away. This ghost lives in a state of constant alert, unable to find peace either in connection or in solitude. The final manifestation is the overarching behavior of self-sabotage. This is not a separate category, but rather the active strategy employed by all the other ghosts. Self-sabotage is the ghost's attempt to control the narrative. It is a preemptive strike against anticipated pain. The anxious ghost might accuse a partner of cheating, provoking a fight that leads to a breakup, thus confirming its belief that it will always be abandoned. The avoidant ghost might end a perfectly good relationship as it starts to get serious, preemptively leaving before it can be left. The chaotic ghost might create drama to disrupt a period of calm because stability feels unfamiliar and unsafe. In all cases, self-sabotage is the ghost recreating its past to prove its core beliefs are true. It is a tragic, self-fulfilling prophecy, a desperate attempt to control an outcome that feels inevitable. Recognizing your primary pattern is the first step toward changing it. Let us move from theory to a concrete example. The ghost operates in the subtle, lightning-fast moments of an interaction. Its work is done before the conscious mind can even register what has happened. Consider this common scenario. One partner arrives home from work and says to the other, "You seem stressed today." This is the stimulus. It is, on the surface, a neutral observation, perhaps even an expression of care.
But the recipient does not hear the words. They hear the echo of their past. Let us break down the ghost's process. The first stage is the inner child's interpretation. The recipient's wounded child was formed in a household where any sign of weakness or struggle was met with criticism. The message they received as a child was, "You are not good enough. You are failing. You need to handle things better." So when their partner says, "You seem stressed today," the ghost does not hear, "I see you and I care." The ghost hears the old familiar script. You are failing. You are inadequate. You are not managing your life. This interpretation is not a conscious thought. It is an instantaneous somatic feeling of shame and threat. The second stage is the child's defense mechanism. The adult self, with its capacity for nuance and rational thought, is now offline. The ghost has taken control of the nervous system. The wounded child, feeling attacked, deploys its learned survival strategy. This strategy was designed to protect a small child from a critical parent. The response is defensive and protective. The recipient snaps back, "I am fine, just leave me alone." This response is a wall. It is designed to push the perceived threat away, to stop the perceived criticism before it can escalate. It is not an adult response to a partner. It is a child's shield against a parent. The third stage is the relational impact. The first partner, who initiated the exchange with an intention of connection, is now faced with a hostile wall. They feel rejected, confused, and hurt. Their bid for connection has been punished. A natural response is to withdraw. They pull back, feeling pushed away.
This withdrawal is then perceived by the recipient's ghost as confirmation of its core belief. The ghost thinks, "See, I knew it. Connection is dangerous. When I show any sign of struggle, people attack me or abandon me. It is safer to be alone." The cycle is now complete. A moment of potential intimacy was sabotaged. Both partners are left feeling isolated and misunderstood. The ghost successfully recreated the emotional environment of its childhood, proving its worldview correct and reinforcing the very wound it is trying to heal. This entire sequence can happen in less than 10 seconds. It is a powerful, unconscious loop. The only way to break the loop is to become aware of it as it is happening. It requires slowing down time and noticing the space between the stimulus and the reaction. In that space lies the power to choose a different response, an adult response. This is where the work of healing begins. The key to interrupting this cycle is to identify the precise moment the ghost takes control. This moment is not intellectual, it is physical. The body knows before the mind does. Your body is the ultimate truth teller, the alarm system that signals the hijacking of the adult self by the wounded child. We can develop the skill of noticing this signal. This is an exercise in somatic awareness. I want you to bring to mind your last significant argument or moment of relational conflict. Do not focus on the story. The story, the words that were said, the reasons for the fight, is often a distraction. The story is the adult mind's attempt to make sense of the ghost's powerful pre-verbal reaction. Set the story aside. Instead, I want you to remember the very first physical sensation you had as the conflict began. Go back to the moment just before you spoke your first defensive word. What did you feel in your body? Was it a sudden knot in your stomach? This is often the signal of the anxious ghost, the physical manifestation of the fear of abandonment. It is the body clenching in anticipation of being left. Was it a tightness in your throat or a pressure in your chest? This is often the signal of the avoidant ghost. It is the physical sensation of suppressing emotion, of holding your breath, of preparing to shut down and retreat inward. Was it a surge of heat rising into your face and chest? This is often the signal of the disorganized ghost, the physical precursor to a reaction of rage or panic. It is the body's fight or flight system flooding with energy. These physical sensations are the alarm bells. They are the body's language for danger,
old wound activated. This physical signal is the ghost's signature. It is the most reliable indicator that you are no longer operating from your adult self. Your wounded child has stepped forward to handle the situation. Recognizing this physical signal is the first and most critical step in changing the pattern. It creates a pause. In that pause, you have a choice. Without awareness of the signal, there is no pause. There is only the instantaneous, conditioned reaction. The trigger happens, the ghost reacts, and the destructive cycle plays out.
But with awareness, a new possibility emerges. You feel the knot in your stomach, and instead of immediately lashing out with an accusation, you can notice it. You can say to yourself, "There it is. My fear of abandonment has been triggered. This is my inner child feeling scared." This simple act of noticing creates a separation between you, the conscious adult observer, and the emotional reaction of the child part. It is the space where freedom is born. From this space, you can choose a different action. You do not have to be a victim of your own history. You can learn to identify the ghost's alarm bell, and in that moment of recognition, choose to respond as the adult you are today, not the child you once were. This is the beginning of conscious relationship. Once you can identify the ghost signal, the work of healing can begin. This process is often called reparenting. This term can be misleading. It is not about blaming your original parents or trying to change the past. Parenting is an internal process. It is the act of your adult self providing your inner child with the safety, validation, and love that it did not receive when the original wound occurred. It is a conscious commitment to meet your own unmet needs. This process involves 3 fundamental steps. The first step is acknowledgement and dialogue. When you feel the physical alarm bell, the knot in your stomach, or the heat in your chest, the conditioned response is to ignore it, suppress it, or act it out. The healing response is to turn toward it. This is an internal movement of attention. You pause, you breathe, you direct your awareness inward to the part of you that is feeling scared or angry. You begin an internal dialogue. The adult self speaks to the wounded child. The words can be simple. For example, "I feel you are scared right now. I am here with you. I will not abandon you." Or, "I feel how angry you are. It is okay to feel that way. I see your pain." This is not about intellectual analysis. It is about offering a compassionate presence to a distressed part of yourself. You are, in that moment, becoming the calm, steady caregiver your inner child never had. This act alone is profoundly healing. It stops the cycle of internal self-abandonment that mirrors the original external abandonment. The second step is to validate the feeling while choosing the action. The emotions of the inner child are not irrational. They are historical. The fear, the shame, the rage are all valid feelings based on its past experiences. The adult's job is to validate these feelings. You can say to yourself, "It makes sense that you feel this way. Given what happened to you, this fear is completely understandable." This validation calms the child's nervous system. It feels seen and understood. However, and this is crucial, validating the feeling does not mean endorsing the child's reactive behavior. The feeling is valid, the action is a choice. The adult self retains executive control. You can feel the intense fear of abandonment and still choose not to send a barrage of accusatory text messages. You can feel the urge to shut down and still choose to say, "I am feeling overwhelmed and need a moment, but I will come back to this conversation." This separates the internal experience from the external behavior. You are honoring your past without allowing it to dictate your present. The third step is creating new experiences. Internal work is essential, but healing is ultimately solidified through new relational experiences. It requires taking small, calculated risks with vulnerability. It means communicating your needs and your internal state to your partner from your adult self. Instead of the ghost's defensive, "I am fine," the adult might say, "When you said I seem stressed, it triggered something in me, and I felt a flash of shame. I know that is my own history, and I know you likely meant it with care." This kind of communication invites your partner into your inner world. It gives them a chance to respond to the adult you, not the ghost's defenses. When a partner responds with empathy and understanding, it creates a new neural pathway. The inner child gets a new experience. It learns that vulnerability does not always lead to pain. It learns that a partner can be a source of safety, not a threat.
This is a slow, deliberate process. It requires patience with yourself and a partner who is willing to meet you in this work. Each time you successfully navigate a trigger without resorting to the old defenses, you are reparenting. You are building a secure attachment with yourself, which is the foundation for a secure attachment with another. We have spent this time exploring the ghost in your relationship. We have mapped its origins and psychological theory, identified its manifestations, and outlined a path toward healing. It is easy to see this inner child, this ghost, as a problem to be solved. It can feel like an internal saboteur, an enemy within that must be defeated or exorcised. This final frame is perhaps the most important shift in perspective you can make. The wounded child is not your enemy. It is your guide. The ghost is not a saboteur. It is a messenger. Every time it reacts, every time it floods your body with fear or rage, it is not trying to ruin your life. It is trying to communicate a vital piece of information. It is pointing with perfect accuracy to the exact location of your deepest, unhealed wounds. Its painful reactions are a map. They show you where the work needs to be done. If you can learn to see the ghost's behavior in this way, everything changes. The goal is not to silence the child or to get rid of it. A person who has silenced their inner child is not a healthy adult. They are a brittle, disconnected adult. The goal is integration. Integration means the adult self becomes the compassionate leader of the inner world. The adult self listens to the child's fears, honors its pain, and makes conscious choices that are in the best interest of the whole system. A healthy, integrated adult is not someone without a past. It is someone who is no longer unconsciously controlled by their past. They carry their history with them, but they are not dragged by it. The ghost is no longer in the driver's seat. It is sitting peacefully in the passenger seat, trusting the adult to steer. It knows it will be listened to. It knows it will be cared for. It no longer needs to scream to be heard. When this integration happens, your relationships transform. You stop looking for a partner to save you or to fix your childhood wounds. You no longer project the role of a critical parent or an abandoning caregiver onto them. You can see your partner for who they are, a separate individual with their own ghost and their own wounds. You can approach conflict not as a threat, but as an opportunity for deeper understanding of yourself and your partner. Ghost, once a source of destruction, becomes a source of profound self-awareness and empathy. It is the key that unlocks not only a healthier relationship with a partner, but a more compassionate and whole relationship with yourself. This is the ultimate purpose of the work, to bring all the parts of you home, to become your own safe harbor. From that place of inner security, a truly conscious and fulfilling love becomes possible.